What is up, everyone? What is up? How's everybody doing? I just got back from a cybersecurity conference that I'm at. Hackers Teaching Hackers. Talked about that a little bit before. It's a small conference. Hey, buddy. Why do you gotta intrude on me right now? Really? There's no space here. There's no space. This is my show, okay? You cannot steal my show. I love you. What's everyone up to? How's it going, Hans? How's it going, Ash? Where are my dog treats? Oh, there they are. There you go. You're applying to jobs, Abby? Did you lose your job, or are you just looking to upgrade? Because I know you were frustrated with your job for a while, and I've been kind of pushing you to go upgrade. By the way, got a new t-shirt. What do y'all think? Wu-Tang is for the children. I got a few t-shirts. If you haven't been on Instagram and Discord, you'll see them. But yeah, just drove a car for a friend. Oh yeah? Hopefully not off a cliff. Well, I mean, of course not. You're still here. Do an LFS install real quick. There's no such thing as a real quick LFS install. Yeah, so would you guys back up? Ari, back up. Back up. Back up. I know, there's a lot of stuff under the desk right now. But there's a lot of stuff here. I have staging. I know. There's no one in the house. You need to go play with somebody else right now. I know. They'll be back in like 2 minutes. Still employed. I'm kind of waiting around for a hiring manager who I made a good impression with. He left that company. Oof. Sup, Darko? Chief, I feel like I'm in the same place you were with your previous job. 23. I can save money now and then. One can eat, getting money in the daytime, even counting when I sleep. Wake up to getting bread. Bitch, I do this for the streets. ADHD. And of course, it cut it off at the end. Thank you for the tier 3 sub there. Appreciate you, Darko. By the way, I got your package right here. Are your dogs lap dogs? I mean, any dog's a lap dog if your lap can handle the weight. I'm just saying. There are some pretty big people that have sat on people's laps that are pretty small. Just saying. So that's not really an objective, statement so much as an subjective statement. Feel like you're in the same place you were with your previous job, 23 plus experience. Yeah, that'll happen. Sometimes you need a change of scenery. What do you recommend to enter the world of cybersecurity? A few years of IT experience and networking and getting to meet a few people. Setting my net plus at the moment, then going to do my CCNA, Aruba cert, any home lab recommendations. Just the usual pfSense, VLANing, and all that stuff that I usually recommend to people, and then the various whatever resources you want to host on your network, to just kind of have traffic there and make it look alive. Alright, so let's see what the hell Darko sent me, because I have no idea. Did you drink? What the hell did you get? What the fuck is this? Carpe Nocta? What the hell is it? This is an energy drink What's this, like some goth girl drink or something? Goth girl spit! I was like, he did not find this. He did not actually find this. Ah! So for context, I always joke about shit like that. You know, like, what was it? Like, I would say these guys over here would probably simp for a goth girl just to spit in their mouth for 5 seconds. You know, like, just that kind of thing. So he bought a whole case of this shit. Are you drunk? No, I'm sober as fuck. That is fucking great. Like, I'm gonna have to, like, keep one of these cans at least on display. I don't know if I'm gonna drink this, because I'm not much of an energy drink person. But, yeah. It's not the worst combo, actually. Nutrient-wise. It's definitely got caffeine in there, so wouldn't advise more than one. Display one on stream next to your keyboard. Okay, pardon me. I gotta move a few electronics and software-defined radios out of the way for this little Instagram photo that we're about to do here. I'll have to see about, like, getting this cleaned up for a much better photo later. Oh, wait. That's right. Instagram does the derpy thing. You have to do the vertical format. That just shows you how much of a boomer I am when I'm like, oh yeah, we gotta take it, you know, with horizontally. You like Echelon Great Drink? I'm not an energy drink person. Like, I'll drink them once in a while, I have some, but, like, the caffeine drinks that have, like, 200 milligrams, I kind of keep as an emergency. Like, I need somebody to, you know, punch me in the face, wake me the hell up. Alright, hold up. We're gonna post that onto, the nets. I'm gonna put it through my multi-poster so it'll go through all the platforms. How am I gonna put this out there? Okay. Hashtag goth girl. Where did you find this shit of all places? All right. And that is off to the interwebs. You think a normal person can make a Tangara? A normal person? No. Making one? No. Because to make one, you would need to actually grab the KiCad files and actually need to find a circuit board manufacturer, then actually have them, solder the components on, or you do that, then you're going to have to put all the components together, then you're going to have to flash it, and all that other stuff, so no. The average person can use a Tangara. I don't think the average person can build a Tangara. Maybe repair, depending on what, that entails, depending on the thing, but no. Failed security plus 2 by 3 years ago. I'm 18, lost motivation, still any words for me? Don't be nice. Dude, you're 18. Don't be so doom and gloom. Most people don't even figure out what the hell they want to do until their 20s, or even sometimes until their 30s. I know people that don't figure it out until their 40s. Don't just wallow in the dumps because you're 18 and, you haven't figured out life yet. Your life has just begun, buddy. So, trust me. I've been where you've been. 18 sucked. I would never want to relive my teens. I would never want to relive my teens. Like, those people that are like, high school is great. No. That sucked. The people that still talk about their high school years, yeah. Am I an IT guy? Yeah, I am. Would you just say IT and cybersecurity job market is good right now? I wouldn't say good, because all markets right now are kind of effed, but it's okay. Oh, another thing I also forgot to say, but this fucking thing today, to show you how unenthusiastic of an Apple user I've been, I still haven't even opened it. I've used it as a, stand for the, MacBook that work gave me for several hours. Already lost it twice in one day. I'm not gonna pretty much open it until tomorrow, until the case comes for it and shit. and for those of you like, Chief, why the hell did you buy an iPad? I didn't want to buy an iPad. You know me. I have an iPhone. I never saw the point in really getting an iPad. I wanted a Google Pixel Android tablet. You couldn't buy them anywhere. I wanted one of those and put graphene on it, but you couldn't find them anywhere. Like, seriously. They're not on Amazon. You couldn't even find them direct from Google. I think they're discontinuing them. And so I was like, fine, I'll get an iPad. So I got the iPad Air. So not the basic iPad, the Air. The thought process behind it was that it has the slightly better screen for when I'm going to use it. Originally, the idea is I'm going to be using it as a device to help me when I display on screen when I'm doing presentations and stuff. Like, yeah, you can have your laptop in some cases, but some cases you just can't, so it's better to have a tablet. So you can have your notes and stuff. But then also it was like I could test out the idea of editing some videos on here through Opus and CapCut and other programs. We'll see how that goes. Worst case, I at least got a backup iPad device, because the other iPad I had is an iPad mini that's so old it won't even work with my Apple account because I use security keys. It won't even use like the later iOSs that support YubiKeys. So, and that iPad I got for free from somebody that handed to me. How do you defend against zero-day vulnerabilities when no patch or signature exists yet?
Cole's Wordog is now chilling in the lab.
You kinda really don't. That's the point of it. Without the, depending on the context of the situation, because if you're talking about a 0-day for a device that has to be internet exposed, it's gonna be exposed. But if you're talking about a device that doesn't have to be internet exposed, well, then your remediation path is don't expose it to the internet. You know, like, just one example. A 0-day is just that. It's a 0-day. There's no remediation path for it. I'm learning PHP now to like C++. Jeez. I hated PHP. I don't really do much coding, but had to do a little bit for my LEMP and LAMP servers. Just past Sec Plus, got my AS and Cyber going for my BS. What should I do to enhance my chances of SOC? What do you mean INT? You mean internship? Get hands-on with some tech projects. Get, look on GitHub for different things. In fact, one thing I wanted to look at today was the GitHub that we had for the Hackers Teaching Hackers thing. Because we went to, there was a conference today, a cybersecurity conference, and we were learning a few things. Today was the workshops. They had a couple of free workshops that there were some cool things. So some of my friends went to the Chainsmith Recon, where they were using AI for other recon, and there was another recon one using Project Discovery, which was a really cool thing. They had this little CTF little training over here. So we didn't get to go through the whole thing because there were some issues when they were getting it set up. So let's see. Oh, it's an HTH workshop. And then they had us verify the scripts. Okay, so we had 4 things fail. We have to install Subfinder, DNSX, and Nuclei on this machine. And then our target on this is Spaceballs Corp. So yeah, I was gonna play with this. They said they're gonna keep it up for about a month, I think it was. So I was gonna play with this. Learned a few things there, and Project Discovery is kind of cool. They gave us like 250 credits for their new Neo Agentic AI pen test framework. So I guess I'll play with that too. We'll see. This is the part that I got annoyed at. Alright, let me see. I need to grab PDTM. Wait, didn't I just install that? So then I need to get okay. That's what was missing. Alright, so now I've got to unzip this. 15 years in IT. Well, mostly cyber, but nowadays, but yeah. My thoughts on working with SaaS or GRC, two different things. SaaS is just software as a service, just a service offering. GRC is just, well, mostly policies and stuff like that. I don't want to be part of GRC, it's boring as hell. Let me see, hold up. I don't know what Fizzy Hack OS is. Not familiar with it. Are most cybersecurity companies using AI now?
Ricardo is now chilling in the lab.
At this point, pretty much. It's like what I was saying many years ago. When this whole AI cat was coming out of the bag, I was telling people, I don't care what your ethical or philosophical take is on AI, and I'm not disagreeing with you on that point or saying you're wrong or right or anything on that. The problem is the cat's out of the bag already, and if you don't learn about this technology now and see how it's going to be implemented, adapted, and augment different industries and how it's gonna, you know, shape our lives in the same way we saw the internet basically unfold and change our world forever in different ways from the 90s and such. I'm not saying it could do it to the same length. I'm just giving an example. That's basically what we're seeing right now. You can't be in graphic design right now and not even use AI. There are graphic designers now that have to know how to prompt engineer. There are copywriters that have basically learned to use AI or lost jobs. You know, like, think about this. So in cybersecurity, it's more or less happened the same way. I know people that are maybe mostly using it for reporting, or they're automating a lot of the basic, you know, rudimentary or menial tasks, things like that, but yeah. 20 year and you just have the CompTIA Plus and you're cooked? No. As a cybersecurity expert, how do you think AI will impact the cybersecurity field? Some things will be good and some things will be bad. I can't really say it'll be one net positive or net negative because it's just like nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is, in its natural state, neither good nor evil. It's all in the context of how you use it. You can use that same energy in this universe, basically, simplifying it a little bit for this analogy, to power hundreds of homes or vaporize them. That's basically what I think of when it comes to AI. And that's why I also stand by Anthropic's, you know, stance to try to have human controls around humans. I mean, when machines are able to execute, well, humans. Okay, now, there we go. Had to get my environment path fixed. So we're installing Project Discovery right now. Their tool manager. I actually was talking to a few pen tester buddies, and they say they use this on quite a few of their engagements. I should probably run that command anyway, too. Where can you get cybersecurity experience for a job? Mostly you can get that easily, well, not easily per se, but you can get that by, working in the IT field. A lot of the IT skills do translate technically over into the cybersecurity field. Like, networking is a cybersecurity skill, for example. System administration can be considered, you know, identity and access management in certain contexts. You're talking about, yeah. There's quite a few ways to go about it. But the thing about cybersecurity is there's no one clear-cut path to really just get into the field. Much to the dismay of what a lot of the influencers on social media may tell you that are selling you BS courses in 90K in 90 days and trying to say, just get this course, do this, you know, cert to get into the field to do this. It's an interesting path. What am I doing? Oh, I'm trying to set back up some of the pen testing tools I was playing with earlier today at, there we go. When I was playing at the conference earlier, Hackers Teaching Hackers, so I got a few cybersecurity conferences that I'm planning to go to this year. So okay, so now I need to get my chaos setup key. Projectdiscovery.io, which, by the way, I do recommend y'all check this project out. It's a neat little project. I'm actually going to be talking to the owners of it probably later on this week. Yeah, check it out. It's good stuff. They have some free stuff on there to monitor domains and credentials and stuff like that. Do you recommend Bug Bounty if you want to make money? If you want to make side money, yeah. But I hate to burst your bubble if you're thinking that you're going to make it an entire career, because I don't know where a lot of people get the idea that they can just turn bug bounty hunting into an entire career. It's a very tough path. And most people I know that do it don't do it as a primary income. They do it as like a secondary income, and it's just padding. That's all it is. Because not always will they pay on time. You aren't always guaranteed that you will get the bug bounty. You have to get it before someone else finds it and things like that. It's just, yeah. Alright, so let me sign into the cloud. And then I have to do something off screen here, so I'm sorry. Where was I? HTH workshop, setup subfinder. This is what I was looking for. Okay. All right, hold on. Where am I looking for? Oh yeah, I do have to set up some integrations here with like Cloudflare and other things. I'm really I really like this whole project discovery thing and what they're able to at least add to my little home lab here. I just can't show you what I have here because it's a little bit too sensitive for obvious reasons. Security. All right, where? is my damn API key? Ah, there it is. All right. And then I'm gonna borrow this for a second. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take another one off screen here. And I gotta grab this little line over here to make a new directory. We gotta grab this chaos key over here for subfinder, which is our subdomain finder subdirectory. They give you a free API key for you to do this stuff. All right, let's see. That should be... Oh. You know what? I'm a schmuck. That's the Mac one. All right, let's get... There we go. Cat... config subfinder... Cool. All right. Now that should show up. So now my chaos key should be... Oh, god damn it. Had to pull in my latest environment variables. Okay, so now we're testing to make sure... Yep, chaos key works. So what this will allow us to do is we could then find all the subdomains for anything we wanted. So like, let's say... Oh, I'm not going to do that. That's going to have a shit ton of domains there. But let's say... Let's not do the government. I'll just do mine. So you can see I can enumerate all the subdomains with this tool here. And I can find everything. Are you hacking? Alright, so that's Subfinder. So that's one of the tools they covered today. But we had a few issues, so we kind of rushed through. One of the main things they were showing off was Neo, which is their AI pen testing agent. So they even gave us some templates over here. So you could actually build on this. And you could actually... Yeah. So there's an entire cheat sheet here they have of the entire pipeline they were teaching us. But basically, you could use Subfinder to do a discovery on subdomains. And then... This was just for their lab that they had. You could go deeper here, but, you know, you could see what ports are available with Naboo. Start probing. Crawl it. Do some vuln scanning. Are you using AI as well? Well, yeah, that's part of what this, workshop was about, was using an AI pen testing tool to assist in vulnerability remediations. All right. What's up, Barack? Can I help you? You just want attention? All right. So let's see. That was Subfinder. La. Okay. Chaos plus all. Okay, so we just did this. Now you could do DNSX. This is an active brute force with a word list. Used when passive sources are thin. So they gave us a word list here. So it's going to go through, I guess, this list of subdomains here. So you could, for example, create a list here and then just start hammering down the door that way. So let's, now let's remember, this is a CTF. We do have permission to do it for this workshop, so only for this workshop in this rules of engagement. Do not use these tools on anything without permission. Okay? This is why we home lab people. Okay? Just want to make that very clear. So, I don't want anybody pointing back saying, Chief showed me how to do this, and I'm going to tell you right now, Chief also told you that, you know, you shouldn't do this on things you don't own. Okay? Or permission. Your thoughts on the new PCs with the NVIDIA ARM Spark chips? They look alright. For educational purposes only. Yes, for educational and professional purposes only. Please show me how to hack. Well, you go into the kitchen, you grab a big knife, you grab a cutting board, you grab a vegetable, and then just start hacking away! Alright. So, let's see what happens. DNSX... -d spaceballscorp.com -w subs wordlist.txt resp, which I think tells us the responses. Okay, this target is wildcard DNS. Active brute force will return thousands of false positive. Use passive discovery via Subfinder plus chaos for this target. Oh, okay, I see. So, yeah. Okay. So that would end up being basically a false positive, because if you have a wild card, everything that you would then hit would turn back. Okay. That makes sense. So then that's going to be... scanning for all subdomains silently, pipe it out the DNSX with the responses. So what's this going to be doing? So passive discovery via Subfinder plus chaos. Okay. Just combining the two. This makes OWASP and Wiresharp look basic as F. Oh, this is why you go to cybersecurity conferences, people. Because the CTFs that you actually go to at these events are actually meaningful. They're designed by real people to show you real things. So as we can see right here, we got back the IP addresses in this one. As to compared, The original one just went through, did all that, and then the silent hit all this crap, and then just piped its results, I guess, over. We used to run events for cons. You would put together CTFs for them that reflect what I saw in the industry. They are valuable ASF. You go to them. Yeah, absolutely. Well, like, and to give you an idea, this event that I went to was local. It cost me, yes, $275, but it's a 3-day event. They provide lunch. And this specific workshop was free. And the most expensive workshops were $99. You'd be surprised how many cybersecurity conferences often happen in people's own backyards. We had people that I found out came to the workshops that I was at today that were from as far as an hour away. So you have to put in the effort. Go to info, go to Google to look for anything. I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. So, you want to find specific cybersecurity events. There's a site dedicated to that. So I came across this at DEF CON 31. It's called infosecmap.com. You can find any event in the world. There you go. Every event going on. You put down what you're looking for. What's going on this weekend? Next week. Next month. Here, Ohio, it's not that often. BS. Let me see. We had B-Sides Dayton a couple weeks ago that I was at. Hamvention was the week or before that, and yes, there were talks there around cybersecurity, so I'm counting that. There was also Hackers Teaching Hackers, which I'm at right now. Then we had ISSA, which is going to be next week. That's the Midwest Summit. Then you're going to have B-Sides again towards the... was it September of that? And then also, we still have Queen City Conference. Cal map only shows past events. But yeah, this event, I mean, this map can help you find some events. Now, I will be honest, it won't have everything. So what I use on top of infosecmap.com is I also use Eventbrite and Meetup. Because sometimes there'll be specific groups that are local. Like, I came across one that's like Coffee and Coders and stuff like that. But yeah. Should've got 17 within 100 miles. See? There's stuff. Alright, so. As we can see, this took a while. Okay, so this just sees if what domains are out there. This was pulling back what domains was out there, then piped it through to get what the IP address was. Now this was wildcarded, which is why all of them have the same IP address, as they explained over here. Alright, so now we can do a fast SYN scan. Naboo host portal spaceballscorp.com. That command apparently requires sudo on Mac. Okay, so we can see there is one port open on portal.spaceballscorp.com. And that is port 443. Now, let's see. I don't think think we need sudo for that command. Alright, hold on. That... Hmm? Does it need sudo? You get Steam on your Mac? No, I'm not on the Mac. This is, Pop OS. Okay, so sudo, the sudo command doesn't have this map, so... Yeah, why is it only showing 443? Interesting. Unless... Okay. Wonder why it only did that. Oh. It's probably forcing you over to 443. Let's see. Let me teach you... We've got HTTP probing over here. Oh. I ran into this issue in my Pop OS. It's picking up the wrong HTTPX. I have a question. I downloaded, uninstalled, delete some sketchy software, and it says it deleted them from registry, and when I checked, they're there, but are empty. What do you mean? I mean, they're empty. Try and download the drivers. Or binary data is 0. Well, no. Oh yeah, so I wonder if it's using a different HTTPX command than the HTTPX that it's expecting. Wonder why they're using that command. Or maybe I just don't know enough about that specific package. Your HTTPX is the Python HTTP client CLI, not Project Discovery HTTPX. Okay. So I had the HTTP client library from a different project. Yeah. Do it. Alright, now that should have fixed it. Yeah, I ran into that same issue. Okay, yeah, that looks right now. Yep, there we go. May have some commands for HTTPX that are really cool or to do similar stuff. Huh. I'll have to bookmark that. Hackatricks.wiki. Okay. You even run it locally. Okay, we got a 401 unauthorized on the API. We're okay on 200, but we got redirected on admin staging and portal. Okay. That was probing it with the metadata. And this is just giving us what's live. So I guess we've gone discover, resolve, scan, probe, and then we're moving on to crawl and detect. It's fun to learn at least these little tools, because I haven't really used them all that much. Any of the AI supply chain exploits lately? Not really. They're having me read up a lot on them for... or the tooling and stuff, because in my team, I'm the one that knows the most about AI, apparently. So they're having me take the lead on Wiz in the SaaS security solutions and other things for CrowdStrike, and I don't know how the hell I turned into the CrowdStrike SME, but apparently I'm the subject matter expert. Go figure. 3 years ago. Never even touched CrowdStrike. 3 years later. Now I'm the subject matter expert. Yes. You're spoiled, you know that? I love you, buddy. Hey, oh, that was not an invite! That was not an invite! Mwah. Yes. Dude. Dude. Really? Can you back up? Back up! Can you back up? Can you back up? Back up! This is my show! Hey! Would you... You have me all day! Goofball. Ah. Missing me? Dude was with me for like several hours. Missing me. Fucker's up my ass like half the day. What? What do you want? Do you just want butt scratches? Or do you want something else? Okay. So none of the domains came up as live, so I guess now we're on to crawling. What does Katana do? Oh, so it starts going through and seeing all the assets on the website that we can pull up. And that sets a depth of 3, so... root 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. And then this command over here does it with JS parsing. There's a lot of commands in this. So JC, enable endpoint parsing, crawling in JavaScript file. Oh. So if I'm not mistaken, if this finds JavaScript files, it's going to just start going through them. And then seeing what else I guess it can find. What do you think about the new apprenticeship of the DO? You mean the Department of Defense? Because that's what they are. And they'll probably return to. Nick, is it worth trying? I don't know if it really worth is. Okay, it's interesting. So now, you can chain your things together. So we take that subfinder command from earlier, silently pipe it to HTTPX, silently pipe that to nuclei, and nuclei can start doing vuln scanning. Okay, so it's installing some nuclei templates right now. Can a CCNA help me get through a foot through the door like help desk or knocks the night shifts or WT? Well, you don't want to get something like a CCNA for help desk. Help desk is more of an A+ kind of thing. CCNA is more of your junior junior network admin. You know, you're getting into networking, that kind of side of things. Help desk is more of like kind of entry level. Okay, so let's see what this is doing. Let's grab the nuclei templates. Executing 10,348 signed templates. Loading 17 unsigned. Target templates clustered. Oh, so it's just going through and it's doing it. See you later, Parrot. Trying to still catchy OS and some old HP. I don't know why everyone is just like jumping on catchy OS. What the hell are you going on about? We're talking about technology and you're in chat talking about something about liberals and MS Now channel. I swear, some people need to get back on their meds. At least they're not using Arch. Has to be TikTok. It's TikTok. Because it... Live and learn. You're missing the entire fucking point! You're on a tech stream bitching about politics! We haven't talked about politics literally one time this entire stream. We're talking about what I learned at a cybersecurity conference. And you're talking about some fucking stupid-ass politics that has nothing else. You want to bitch about that kind of shit, take that elsewhere. You went on about Cisco. This is my fucking stream. I am a tech content creator. If I want to bitch about Cisco, I can motherfucking bitch about Cisco. That is within the purview of this channel. If I want to bitch about Apple, that is within my right. None of that is off base nor off brand for my channel. Rather talk about that furry from the other night. Oh god, I forgot about them. Hey man, pretty new to cybersecurity. What laptop would you recommend for someone new? For someone new, all I would say is look at something that just can afford you can afford within your budget. Now, with that being said, I would look at a value perspective for laptops. That's business class laptops. So definitely avoid Razer laptops. A lot of those gaming branded laptops. There are like some exceptions, like the Lenovo Legion. I'll allow some things for that, but like Lenovo ThinkPads are solid. Dell has some solid business lines of laptop. HP used to not be so great, but their business lines of laptops are improving. Notice I'm saying business lines, not the consumer lines. They're totally different. The business lines come with a really good quality warranty. You can get up to 5 years of warranty on some of these things. So if you're new into cybersecurity, you want to buy a laptop that's going to last. So I'm generally going to recommend the average person to go and get a Lenovo laptop. The service is really solid. The hardware is really good. It's a good all-arounder performer. The E-Series, the ThinkPad E-Series is a pretty good economical option historically. The T-Series and X-Series has been a pretty solid option. The P-Series is more of a workstation. Like if you're, doing 3D modeling, you probably won't even need to worry about that. They're a little bit more expensive, so don't worry about it. There are like the yoga books and IdeaPad. The ThinkPads are a little bit more solid. They're built for just being solid. So, definitely would recommend around that side of it. I know I use Tuxedo computers and System 76 laptops and stuff like that, and they're fine, don't get me wrong. But I would recommend those more if you are completely going down the Linux rabbit hole. They can run Windows, but that's not their main mission. Some U.S. companies don't allow some employees to use Lenovo, unfortunately. Those U.S. companies are all due to U.S. contracts, so that is true. If you are dealing with federal government contracts, you are not allowed to use foreign-made computers. They have to be basically Dell or HP in those cases. So, generally speaking, federal contractors are not allowed to use them, but generally, that's not your personal computer you're using. The government generally is providing your computer that you would be using in those cases. So, I'm glad that you're learning and you're on your path, and feel free to join the Discord and the Matrix server we have. The links are in bio, and follow all the other socials if you want. We have a great little community. Alright, so let's see. Back to what we were saying. So nuclei, we can scan one single... Oh no, this is still going. Oh, so this is really going on. So it's skipping for unresponsiveness. Oh, it's detecting web application firewalls from Nginx. A cores misconfiguration? Am I reading that right? Okay. That's kind of cool that I could do that. Alright, so I guess while this is gonna run, because it is going to be taking its sweet-ass time, we can go and find some content to review. I'm gonna move this off to the side while we go into the review on stream. Where was I last stream? Okay, hold on. We were somewhere in this list. I really need to come up with a better system. There we go. We'll continue with this video. Lex Defox, Han, share this video. F gas prices. I've been running all my e-bikes for free. This sounds like a video that Kara needs to watch. Kara, you in chat? I think you're in chat. Yeah, you're in chat. This is a video right up your alley. Alright.
What you're going to see in this video took place over several months, and at that time gas wasn't exactly cheap, but maybe it seems that way because since then things have gotten absolutely ridiculous with no signs of stopping. Suddenly this little science project that I started carries a lot more weight.
This is still taking time, by the way.
I've gone all in. I bought this cheap solar panel from Harbor Freight because I have a lot of batteries that need charging. But can
By the way, Harbor Freight is Bay.
this realistically
Let me explain this to my LGBTQ friends out there from your bi friend. Harbor Freight is this magical wonderland of tools. Think of it to tools what Micro Center is to tech people. Now, some people might look down upon Harbor Freight tools, but you should not listen to these people. They're all right. Those people still owe entire mortgages to Snap-on.
be done? Can I just take these wires and just hook it up to a battery and make it work? And if I can, how long does it take? I mean, can I get away with not plugging any of my bikes into the wall ever? Let's find out. You see, one of the nice things about electric motorcycles, besides how quiet they are, how torquey they are, how little maintenance they have, there's actually a lot to like, is that their fuel source is renewable and infinite. Unlike these two old-fashioned internal combustion engines that take a gallon or two of refined dyno DNA. These, on the other hand, don't need any of that smelly go-go juice, they just need a plug. Easy and not stinky. So why not just remove the plug entirely and get that power for free? Let's grab some of that solar juice. And I even decided to pick this up on the bike so it's 100% fuel efficient, fossil free ride. And I got the folding version, although it's a little bit bigger than I thought.
This is actually working a lot better than I expected, but I don't recommend doing this.
Why don't you have like a little trailer for your e-bike? Like I would have thought like if you're gonna be like doing an e-bike and stuff more often, at a certain point you'd be riding around with like a little trailer.
And this is the solar panel that I got. It's from Predator and it's a 100-watt folding solar panel. And at the time of getting this, I actually found a $20 off coupon for this. So it turns out that this is actually the cheapest 100-watt solar panel that you can buy at the Harbor Freight. This looks pretty cool.
You kept flipping over and hitting curbs.
I think it was gonna be a little bit smaller, but whatever. And it folds out so you can see this big old panel right here so we can gather all of that sun. And then on the back side is this little pouch. I thought it was just a carrying case, and I guess it could be, but this also houses the wires for the power output. So I guess.
So you know how they call their stuff Predator? Isn't Jared from Subway getting out of prison soon? Doesn't he need a job? They could hire him to be the Predator mascot. It's an effed up joke, I know, but I had to say it.
Those connectors, there's a specific connector type, MC4 connections. I'm not 100% familiar with solar panels, but I'm guessing that's a common style connector. I'm definitely more familiar now, and yes, very common. And also taking a look at the stats here, this is also giving out a current of 5.1 amps, which is actually perfect for these type of bikes because almost all of these different batteries typically take a draw at 5 amps. So you think with amperage like that, you'd be able to just take the positive and negative from this solar panel and just plug it.
Hold up, hold up.
Familiar now, and yes, very common. And also taking a look at the stats here, this is also giving out a current of 5.1 amps, which is actually perfect for these type of bikes because almost all of these different batteries typically take a draw at 5 amps. So
Hey chat, did you notice what I did? Did you all notice what I did, chat? He focused on the amperage, but the voltage is completely different, which means, yeah, this is another one of those cases of, I'm not trying to sound like one of those, actually type people, but this is one of those cases where if you're talking about electronics, you need to understand the basics of Ohm's law. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just rudimentary. Because he's talking about here 20 volts, 100 watts, 5 amps. Okay? 5 amps times 20 volts is 100 watts. Makes sense, right? That's how that works. Voltage times amperage equals wattage. 5 amps times voltage. Okay? So let's compare what he's talking about on these devices here. Okay, so we have 72 times 5. That device right there, the charger, the battery charger, is 360 watts on the low end. 420 on the high end of what it's putting out. It's literally using 4.2 times the amount of power than that solar panel is putting out. Okay?
because almost all of
same thing. Okay? 84 volt, 5 amp. Another 420 watts. 100 watt solar panel, 420 watt devices. Amperage doesn't matter. So amperage does matter, but let me put it this way to you. If you've ever needed to understand how electricity works and need that analogy, think of, if you will, voltage is your pressure, your water pressure. Wattage is... hold on. Let me... I'm trying to remember what was the best way. You got voltage, which is your pressure. You've got amperage, which I think is... water and electricity. Garden hose analogy. Okay. Okay, yeah, I was right. For some reason, my brain is not braining right now. I don't know. Anyway, so you got to think about, if you needed to ever visualize what electricity is like in terms of, you know, a garden hose in terms of water. Like I said, voltage is your water pressure. Current, which is your amperage, that is your water flow rate. So like your gallons per minute as you would be having. And then, of course, if you have any resistance in the water, would be, you know, your hose kinks. How wide the hose might potentially be. And then the power overall is basically just how much is getting hit total. So how much total is going out.
these different batteries typically take a draw.
Yeah, and look, 67.2. Same thing.
at 5 amps. So you think with amperage like that, you'd be able to just take the positive and negative from this solar panel and just plug it directly into the charge port of these batteries, but there's a difference in voltage. One of the other specifications...
At least he talked about the voltage. But here's the thing. Why bother even talking about it?
To this solar panel is the maximum voltage, which is only about 24 volts, which makes sense because it's only a 100-watt panel. But with the batteries in these bikes, even if they're deader than dead, they're going to be well over 24 volts.
Oh, the other thing you have to understand is that voltage is consistent. For the most part, I mean, there's voltage drops, spikes, sideways. We're not going to get into that. Amperage, it will use what's available or what it needs. So, like, for example, you can have a 20 amp circuit. It's not going to use all 20 amps. It may only use just what it needs. So, yeah, it may be rated for 5 amps, but it may only use 3. Like, look at your computer. Your computer is rated for more power under load.
So there's that imbalance here, and with the higher voltage being in the dead battery, if anything, the flow is going to want to go from the dead battery back to the solar panel, so it's going to make them even deader. So we need to boost the juice from this panel so that we can be able to flow the current in the right direction. So I also have one of these, which is a solar charger boost pack. This is just a little booster pack that I found on Amazon, so this is going to act as an in-between with the inputs here coming from the solar panel, so the flow is going to go into this box, and inside of this it will boost up that voltage so that you could be able to charge things with high voltage like a 72 volt battery pack, and then it will come out of this end again at 5 amps but boosted so that it has more voltage behind it. So I guess I was right in assuming that the MC4 connection is pretty standardized with solar panels, because
that's not... Something is off with his mathematical conversion here. It feels like he's not fundamentally understanding voltage and amperage. Like, the whole discussion of amperage that he had here didn't even need to be mentioned. Like, I'm just bringing that up. Yeah, he used chat. It sounds like he used ChatGPT, because this whole thing, right, that he is doing right now, it's not right. No, like, mathematically, you would not have it come out unless I'm overthinking this. You would not have it come out at more amperage with higher voltage. You'd have higher voltage but lower amperage to have the same amount of wattage. Use the same math as the meta apartment guy. That's what I think. Like, correct me if I'm wrong here, chat, okay? I am completely okay with being wrong on my math here. But, like, when you're upstepping electricity, I forget what the physics law is, but basically, energy is neither created nor destroyed. Okay? So, obviously, we have 100 watts of energy. There's 100 watts of energy. 20 volts going in, 5 amps. Okay? If you're stepping up the voltage, you're going to have to step down the amperage to still have 100 watts. Do you see what I'm saying? Power isn't exact. Yeah, watts is power. Power isn't exact. Yeah. We're not getting into that whole, discussion. But the point being with Ohm's law, voltage times amperage will always equal the total of wattage. Which means even if this gets stepped up, okay, what is this stepping it up to? Let's listen to what it's stepping up to.
It's exactly what these two are for the inputs, so this is a direct plug and play with the solar panel connections. I guess all I have to do is just make the appropriate connections for this, so that way I can plug them into the batteries directly. So, as much as I hate to say it, I gotta break out the solder. I hate soldering. There we go, much better. This is definitely not my best work, but that's what the plastic covers are for, so I can hide my...
I'm just gonna call it. From that statement alone, it tells me this guy doesn't really work too much in electronics. Like, I don't care if you're an electrical engineer or not. I mean, like, I'm in radio and stuff like that. And I've had to, you know, solder quite a bit.
Shame. This is a female XT60 connection because almost all of my batteries in the garage are male XT60s, so this will plug right into it. The only exceptions to that are the Electro & Co battery pack, which takes an XT90, so I made a little adapter. And then there's the oddball in the garage, which is the Hey Bike Villain, which has some weird 3-prong thing, but we're just going to pretend.
That actually looks like I forgot what kind of DC connector that is. I've seen that before.
And that doesn't...
It's kind of frightening that someone can just play with electricity without really understanding. Oh, yeah. It really shocks me how many people mess with electricity and it's dangerous. Like, I would tell people go mess with plumbing before I would tell you to go mess with your electric box. You can flood a basement, sure. Cost a lot of damage. But the likelihood that you're going to go to a hospital from plumbing, gas work aside, is rather low compared to electrical. In my experience, at least.
Exist here. So now that both the solar panel and the boost controller are plug and play, it's just a matter of connecting the dots, hooking up a battery, and sticking it out in the sun to see what happens.
What is the boost controller that he has? Does he say? Okay, this solar boost pack is on Amazon. I want to look at the specs of this. Give me 1 second. It's a 48 volt, 10 amp up... It's a $40 48 volt. It's only up converting to 48 volts. So it can charge 24 volt, 36 volt, 48 volt, 60 volt, 72 volt lead acid battery, lithium battery, flooded batteries, MPPT solar charge controller, 48 volts. So it can do 48 volts. Basically, that sucker's putting out about around 2 amps. I was right. It's not 5 amps. And if I'm wrong, I'm more than glad to be proven wrong. But what blows my mind is this controller, you can see it has like a voltage and amperage meter on there. Did he not actually like read his meter? Like measure? Yeah, like I don't think he actually like. Yeah.
Tomorrow, aka today. We got some sun, so we got some panels. Let's see if it works. So I got a lot of batteries in the garage that I can test this thing out on, but I think I want to start with this one. This is the Electro & Co 60 volt battery because
it looks like somebody else caught it. Yep. No, definitely not at 5 amps. Boosting the voltage will inversely drop the amperage. Guess he does not know much about electricity. He made an XT90 to XT60 adapter, so yeah, luckily his charger is low amp. Oh, he's getting roasted. In what world of magical unicorn farts and glitter do you raise the voltage from 24-ish to 72 and still get 5 amps? 72 volts at 5 amps is 360 watts. Only in alter realities. What? Well, he never said he was. Oh, like if yeah, there's quite a few people that were calling him out there. And I hate to say it this way, and I'm not trying to be an asshole. These little points will do you in. Like, this is such an easy F up. Like, I could understand if you misspoke, and then you go back in editing, and then you either just, you know, cut yourself in saying, hey, I misspoke at this part, or you know, put in text over there, like, meant to say. I've done that in videos. I've misspoken on videos where I put clarifications in text and stuff like that. I'm human. But he said he's done this over months, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. That cable is going to weld or spark. Maybe. Oh, yeah, and, our, little, Vuln scan finished. So, we did a, full pipeline discover, probe, and scan. That was fun.
I haven't used this in a long time, and honestly, I don't care.
His insurance is watching this video going, yep, let's end his policy. Holy shit, you ever think about that? You ever think about these YouTubers that do all these modifications to their house? And then if something happens to their house, insurance then can look at their content as evidence. Like, I am totally confident in all of my content completely exonerating me from any electrical code failure. Because, like, everything I've shown with my network rack and how I've talked about electrical code and all that stuff goes above and beyond what IT and cybersecurity people, for the most part, I've seen generally discuss. The only way that I've generally seen people discuss this is on home improvement or generally dedicated electrician channels and forums. Yes, that energy saver guy from the other week who plugged his fridge into an extension cord. Yep.
Blows up. And I have no idea what the battery level is currently with this thing, so I have the voltmeter here set to DC volts. And we'll probe the output and see exactly how much it is. So the camera's doing weird things to the screen, but it says 63.5 volts. So this is actually fairly charged, I think, based on a...
We'll call it 64.
60 volt pack. This is roughly 80% charged, but we can at least see how long it takes and if it's able to top this up to 100. And the boost controller has woken up. We can see some stats. It looks like when you plug it in, it flashes between the voltage, so the voltage output of the solar panels, and the current. So right now it's saying about 23 and change volts, which makes sense, and 0 amps because it's not plugged into anything. But first, best to let it know what battery it's going to be plugged into, so we can tell it that it's a 60 volt, we can give the number of cells and tell it that it's actually lithium ion, so that way it's going to charge appropriately. Now we got the battery, we'll leave that in the shade. In this case, we'll use our little adapter, and bombs away. Well, now it's showing that the solar panel is actually transferring amperage.
I was right. Look at that. 0.7 amps. Even if it just started out, that would be much higher for a charge. Because it's at 80%, so it would have a weaker charging factor, slowing down, like when you notice, like when you first charge up. So, yeah, that makes sense. Because at peak, it would probably charge around, we said around, like, what, 2 amps?
from the panel to the battery, and it looks like it's getting up there, so the amperage is slowly increasing. Now it's at 4 and change, so it looks like it's going to get up to the full 5, hopefully. That's bright.
That math ain't mathin'. Something ain't right with that.
4 and change, so it looks like
18.4 volt. Wait, no, that's on the input side.
it's going to get up to the full 5, hopefully.
It's not full 5. He's misreading it. I was right. He's reading the input side. This is the output side. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, that is literally what is getting fed in. Then it's going to do the upstepping. There's going to be an efficiency drain here, depending on how efficient this controller is. So anywhere from, like, say, 1 to 5% energy loss just from stepping up. Probably, like, not that much. Probably, like, 1 to 3, maybe. And then it goes off to this. So, yeah. Like, dude, this is rather embarrassingly rookie mistake level. Like,
now it's at 4 and change, so it looks like it's going to get up to the full 5, hopefully. That's bright. Seems to be working. So we plugged it in just after noon. It's 12:07 currently, so we'll leave it in for an hour and see what it does. Another reason to ditch the plug is because it's possible that the energy coming out of my plug is from a source that doesn't hug trees, like gas or coal. But that's the other beauty with EV, because electricity can be generated many different ways without burning stuff. You could use wind, solar, hydro, even waves. Hell, maybe if you combine them all, maybe it's some kind of Captain Planet scenario. Unlike these two bikes that only have one energy source, gasoline. And have you ever stopped to think that you can only use a gallon of gas once? You're buying it to immediately burn it away. And yes, burning it away gets you from point A to B much faster and having much more fun doing it, obviously, on bikes like this. But at the end of the day, you're left with an empty tank and you kind of literally just set your money on fire. And now,
I don't know. Sit me on a motorcycle after Taco Bell, I can probably feed that like a perpetual motion machine.
with prices at almost $7 a gallon in my area, you're setting even more money on fire. And yes, I know you might have something small and fuel efficient like a Honda Grom here, which only takes about a gallon of gas, so that means your total bill is going from $4 and change up to $7, so it's not the end of the world, but you're still burning your money away. So why not ensure that my energy into these bikes is clean and sustainable, and I can remove the plug from my house and all the questions that come from my home energy and just go completely off grid with some sun power. And who knows, maybe the trade-offs aren't as bad as I think they are. Let's see what 1 hour got us in the sun.
I need a driver license, plate tags, insurance next year on e-bikes, so I'm getting a moped or 150cc bike. Wait, are they requiring that where you're at? That's kind of effed.
It's still trucking away. You can see right now it's at 64.8 volts. Doesn't seem like a lot for an hour, but I think that's pretty good.
You notice how he can read the 64.8 volts on the right side showing output, but he can't read the amperage on that same side to know what the amperage is going to the battery?
Good. I think it's still good to just keep it running. Let's see how long it actually takes to get to full 100% and whether or not we can get that done by the end of the day. There we have it, 67.2. That equals 100% charge, and it only took 3.5 hours. I know, it sounds absolutely horrible to take over 3 hours just to get 20% additional stated charge on a battery for a bike, but trust me, that's normal. When it comes to...
It's also inefficient. The last 20% charge of your battery is the slowest to charge. The average person, if you want to actually improve the life of your battery, only concern yourself with 0 to 80, especially when you're talking about modes of transport. The average person doesn't even burn half, let alone a quarter of the capacity that their vehicle is capable of traveling, even in gas, per day. So an EV is perfectly capable of doing what you need to do and then coming back home and then charging. Whether it be at night to top off or every other day or every few days. It actually surprises a lot of people when they get into an EV, and I'm not an EV driver, how little you actually need, how often you actually don't need to top off your car to like 100%. Like, most of my friends only have done that like the night before they're going on a road trip. Most of the time, they'll actually set the car to, like, max charge, because you can set it on some of the cars to, like, have a max charge to, like, prolong the battery life. So...
electric dirt bikes, or EVs for that.
So, yeah, I wouldn't... I think that was a bad test for him to have, like, said, yeah, let's go from 80% to 100. What I would have done is take that bike at 80%, run it down from that 80% condition stage for what your average condition would be, then charge it on what you would estimate your recharge, your estimated, you know, time you'd be recharging it, when you would, and all that. Give it a you know, an actual, like, situation or what scenario. Experiment.
20% takes a lot longer, sometimes the exact same amount of time that it would have taken a dead battery to go from 0 all the way up to 80%. It doubles the time. It's like filling a glass of water to the very brim as quick as possible without spilling. It's really easy to dump in the water at first, but the flow needs to slow down at the end not to spill, because a spill would mean overcharging, which means your battery goes pop. So now the question is, how long does this take to charge a dead battery, like fully dead? So we have this bike, which is deader than dead. I know, because I had to walk it home. So everything's connected. The solar panel is in the sun. We have the boost pack right down here, and we have it plugged into the battery directly. And we're gonna see exactly how long that takes. It is about 1/4 to noon, and I know that we have about 5 more hours left of sunlight, so hopefully it'll be done by then. Well, it's been over 4 hours now. However, I noticed the amperage, as you can see, is now 0, and it's only showing 15 volts, so I think we actually lost our sunlight. And as we open the garage, yep, we are in the shade. And with the voltage that's showing, 47.2, that is roughly equating to about 55 or so % stated charge. So we had to...
The other issue with this is not only would you need to make sure that you have sun for it, I would see this as a system that you'd probably need to have 2 batteries. Possibly one to keep charging while the other one can be swapped out.
Stretch this to another day, but it's showing 0 amps right now and 54.5 volts, aka 100%. Started at noon and now it's 3:30, so another 3.5 hours to that total. I don't exactly know when this hit 100%, but it's safe to say that between the 2 times, it's about 8 hours total. Plugging that same dead battery into the wall takes basically the exact same amount of time, because these chargers are still drawing at 5 amps, so it's definitely worth it there. But you know, if I really wanted to, I could get a second panel for another $100 odd and double up the amperage, so that way it's actually charging at 10 amps rather than 5 amps, giving me a fast charger and basically cutting the time.
Please get rudimentary electricity knowledge. You literally would not have your bike charging at 10 amps. Get off the amperage. It's about wattage. You would be charging your bike from 100 watts to 200 watts. You'd be going roughly at 2 amps, give or take, to 4 amps. I know this sounds so petty, but this really digs into his credibility.
In half. And that's exactly what I did. I said I was going all in, so I got a second panel, so I have 200 watts total. They are connected in parallel, so the voltage output is the same, but the amperage is now doubled. And yeah, it's true, you could be able to plug this into the wall at night and still get a charge, but that's...
Technically, he was right there.
That's an excuse to just buy another battery, maybe a more powerful battery. Or
did I not just talk about how this seems like a system that you're going to need a second battery for?
multiple bikes, ride one while you charge the other. Tell that.
I literally said this sounds like this is what it's going to be requiring.
Your wife or girlfriend, you're not just energy efficient, you're time efficient too. But what about cost? This is where I'm sure to get some critics.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? Remember the Apple Magic Mouse when you had to like flip it upside down so you had to charge it? So you had to buy another Apple Magic Mouse while your Magic Mouse was charging? Like that.
Because it's not really free, not yet anyway. For my setup, the panels cost an average of $105 each. Again, I found a coupon, and the boost pack that connects to it was $40 on Amazon. So all in, 250 bucks. Which I admit up front is an expensive setup. Had I done some research beforehand, I would not have gone to the Harbor Freight. These days, used solar panels are super cheap. You can get 200 watts worth of solar for like 40 bucks. Then there's the cost consideration of charging this bike fully at the plug. For the 25 amp hour pack that I have in this bike, it would cost me a whopping 80 cents. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that's actually really, really high. Arguably, we have the highest electric rates in the entire country, so locals here will understand when I say FSD G&E. So with everything that I have into this, I would need to charge my batteries 312 times to break even. Had I gone with a cheaper setup, that would have been more like 100 batteries, but I still think that's entirely doable. For 3 months now, I've charged...
It seems more like this just is a little bit... well, a little bit, way less efficient than the plug-in solar solutions we saw the other day.
Every single bike on solar alone. Whenever I have a drained battery, I simply throw out the panels on the driveway and plug it in. I'm not exactly sure at this point how many times I've recharged a battery, since a lot of the time it's just topping up, but I would guess at least a dozen. And it'll continue. No doubt with the number of bikes that come in and out of this garage, there's always going to be one plugged into this setup on any given day, so I can easily get past that 312 battery limit. And that's the other beauty with solar panels, is that it can do 300 charges pretty easily. Hell, it can do 30,000 charges. You see, this right here is a lifetime of electric bike charging for the same cost that it would take me to fill up my car 3 times.
Solar panels do degrade over time. It's not talked about too much, but it is something that happens, so keep that in mind.
How's that for a statistic? This also means that I can charge on the go and experience far and exotic lands like this empty parking lot. But it does make me wonder, could I do this on the move?
Yeah, but the problem is, as we saw in the earlier video, how do you travel with said solar panel on said bike? I'm just saying. Okay. Next video. What do we got over here? Vampires shared a couple of TikToks, apparently.
They thought they could control Linux. Now they know if you mess with the tux, you get the... feathers? Flippers? From the jump, the bill requiring age verification for operating systems was a mess. Even if you ignore the privacy concerns and data safety aspect, how do you enforce this on something as chaotic and leaderless as Linux? Well, thankfully, the heads of some of the distros made sure that lawmakers saw sense, and now there's provisions going in to prevent the catastrophe that would be penguin age verification. As long as
Mazel tov, California saw the light, but what about Colorado?
the operating system is open and meant to be copied, redistributed,
Most solar can weigh 75 pounds and many e-bikes carry 55 pounds and even 25 pounds, so you need a trailer. Even power station is 55. Oh, okay.
then it gets an exemption under both the Californian and Coloradoan law. The catch is that instances such as SteamOS, where it's actually locked down and not fully open, they still have to submit to the ID verification. The Arch Linux that's underneath Steam software is fine, but the layer on top is what causes the exemption to dissolve. Microsoft and Apple will have to make sure you're adult enough to use the computer, but you can still use TempleOS without submitting to the man as God intended.
Okay, what's this?
Microsoft to put AI in the clock app. How have you been using a clock all these years without it? A big update's been discovered that's coming to the simple program on Windows, and it appears to require that you have AI hardware in your PC to use it. Obviously, the big question is, what in the 6-7 would you even do?
I had a question about a path for someone interested in networking.
Some of the updates.
Okay, what's your question?
It'll include things like a Pomodoro timer, tasks, focus mode, etc. to make sure you're optimizing every moment of your day.
Why do we need an AI for that?
Have AI break down tasks and details into more manageable steps for you, or have it suggest next steps. It's currently only in a test build and hasn't been released, but you also may be wondering, doesn't this go against their recent promises to pull back on their AI deployment in Windows? Unfortunately,
You mean Microsoft lied?
intentional with where they placed Copilot, not AI broadly. And since there's not a single mention of Copilot in the clock app,
Gotta love a loophole.
they're sticking true to their word.
It's help desk experience and junior sysadmin experience, and just not sure the path to get on the network team since I had to make a lateral move VHR help desk for more pay. Well, what networking background do you have? Have you done any, hands-on experience with networking? If not, try home labbing that stuff. Maybe grab a CCNA and or Network Plus cert to round it out. Just for the employment kind of thing, because all those stupid application tracking systems are looking for it. Alright, and then Charter confirms data breach after Shiny Hunter's extortion threat, so I think we talked about this. Yeah, so Spectrum got compromised, apparently. Another day, another compromised. SETI at Home has been completed after 27 years. I actually contributed to SETI at Home back in the day. So SETI at Home, if you're not familiar with the at home, so back in the day before cryptocurrency mining and using your GPU for AI was really done, one of the things that we used to do with our GPUs, and it was actually wholesome and philanthropic, was if you had spare GPU resources, a lot of, great projects out there like Folding at Home for folding proteins and SETI at Home and all that needed access to like supercomputers and powerful computers, but they didn't have the funds for them. So essentially they could crowdsource resources and people could donate spare resources on their computer that you just put a program on your computer and that would connect in, and then they distribute workloads over thousands of machines, and essentially they'd have a voluntary supercomputer network for them. Well, SETI at Home apparently has completed their project after 27 years, which is fascinating because I remember when this project started as a kid. Which tells you I am fucking old.
Okay, so today we're going to discuss something somewhat exciting. We're going to discuss the culmination of what seems to be the most successful citizen science project ever. The final analysis and final interpretation of data from the project that quite a few of us have participated in back in the days. The super famous SETI at Home. The project that I was also running on my computer for several years.
Yep.
Back when I was in college.
Yep, did that too.
Years collected approximately 12 billion individual signals. Now, after several decades, we have our final release and the final analysis.
I contributed to Folding at Home and SETI at Home.
Discussing exactly what scientists have discovered so far, and of course discussing the next steps. And so essentially after approximately 26 years, and after the participation of over 2 million volunteers, including yours truly,
And yours truly.
SETI at Home is finally complete. And so in this video we're going to discuss what and how this project was conducted, and of course discuss the main results and the exciting signals discovered so far. Although if you're here to hear me say that, yay, we found alien life somewhere out there, unfortunately you're going to be very disappointed. But
My father's from Morocco. I'm the son of an alien. I can't do the Vulcan thing, but live long and prosper.
the project is still super exciting, and there might be parts 2. And so let's discuss a couple of studies from the Berkeley University, and basically...
I have a friend who was wanting to create an AI auto-editing software for content creator. What a good way to tell the friend who didn't know you can take a drive out of an enclosure and mount it directly, that it's way above its skill level. You can tell them that that already exists. I already use a tool for that. There's MCP servers. Like, Adobe has that capability. I think DaVinci has stuff like that you can plug in. Opus Clips I use for clipping that with Twitch. I literally feed it a Twitch VOD, and then it goes through, and an hour later, I have a dozen or so clips that I can then upload to Instagram and everything. So, yeah, your friend's already behind the times. And yeah, this is way above their skill level if they can't even take a drive out of an enclosure and mount it directly.
Over the data analysis so far, and of course discuss the results. As always, you can find both studies in the links in the description below. But in case you've never heard of this project, or you actually have no idea what Setting at Home is, let's...
Oh, I know Folding at Home is still around.
And it all started back in 1999. Here, this really exciting citizen science project allowed regular people, like you and me, to essentially loan your computer power, or basically processing power, to scientists at UC Berkeley in order to analyze various radio signals collected by the legendary...
The term around this type of processing that was coined is called GPU, General Purpose Graphics Processing Unit. So, yeah, this was the beginning of, we learned that GPUs were more capable than just rendering graphics. And that was because we realized the parallel architecture of a GPU, that it, like how it processes everything in parallel the way it does, is so efficient that people started experimenting that way. And that's why we led to the ways of all the processing now, that a lot of the world that we have is dependent upon GPU processing.
Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico. That's of course the observatory we've discussed several years ago, because unfortunately it fell apart. You can find out more about this in one of the videos from 2020. But it still was able to collect a lot of data, and so much, as a matter of fact, that it was just extremely difficult to analyze without some kind of a distributed computing power and without some kind of a supercomputer. And well, according to the 2 major papers published in 2025, the team has officially finished the massive task of data analysis. And excitingly, they've discovered at least 100 signals that may be signals of interest. Now, once again, not aliens, but signals that are still kind of exciting. But originally, when the search just began, there was really only one goal. The goal was to find a technosignature somewhere out there, or basically some kind of a pattern inside the radio waves coming from everywhere, that can only be explained as some kind of an alien technology producing radio emissions. But because radio signals are so extremely common in the universe, and also because so many satellites and even smartphones and of course radio towers produce radio signals as well, over 21 years of detections, the software discovered approximately 12 billion individual radio signals. The
Wow.
David Anderson describes these as momentary blips of energy, with all of them basically coming from different locations in the night skies. And so here the challenge was the fact that the space is just incredibly noisy. Everything from various exploding stars to even various molecular clouds containing a lot of hydrogen emitted some kind of a radio wave that would be visible to Arecibo Observatory.
We have like 90 minutes from the Crane Bank Observatory.
Humans produce a lot of radio.
Huh, really? Is that the one in the silent zone?
It was basically the main contaminant in all of the data. Anything from microwaves down the road to cell phones of someone driving next to the observatory, or of course satellites.
That's a really cool area. I thought that'd be really interesting to go and just like experience that observatory.
Orbiting Earth all created a lot of noise that could obviously resemble an alien signal. And so to handle all of this, researchers had to use a supercomputer. And for this particular project, they had to rely on a supercomputer from the Max Planck Institute in Germany. This was actually meant to filter out a lot of these false positives, with basically billions of them just being noise coming from planet Earth. And one of the clever techniques that they used in this case was something referred to as
Let's get great phone calls from people that live there bitching that our Wi-Fi makes them sick. Wait, what? Oh, I guess that makes sense. You get the hypochondriacs that think about, you know, like the, Better Call Saul, like his older brother. That, yeah, Wi-Fi induced radiation sickness.
Inserted into the data to see if the system could discover them, because they could then essentially erase all of the signals that appeared kind of similar to these fake signals as well, which allowed them to measure exactly how sensitive the search was and to identify anything that was not important. And so, following the collection of data from 2 million volunteers from approximately 100 different countries, which was, by the way, dramatically higher than they expected. They only expected like 50,000 volunteers. By 2013, they already collected enough data to start making conclusions. As a matter of fact,
that's amazing. Millions actually helped out, and they were like, oh, we're probably going to get like tens of thousands. And they're like, no. I think they underestimated how many nerds are out there that are X-Files fans. I want to believe!
At this time, this was the largest computational project in history and was officially entered in the Guinness World Record book. Here, in terms of computational power, it was doing something like 670 teraflops. And because it was such a comprehensive project, it was able to cover approximately 1/3 of the entire night skies. Here we're talking
1/3 of the entire night sky? Damn.
About billions and billions of different stars in the Milky Way galaxy, mostly focusing on the central regions and the regions where we think some kind of life might exist. And by itself, this was a ridiculously successful project. It was successful with the scientific approach. And
I do the same thing, speculate. Somebody gets on your nerves, do shit like that, yeah.
In the practical approach as well. Okay, let me clarify this. In terms of scientific success, it established a new sensitivity level for the entire galaxy, allowing researchers to say with certainty that if there was a signal above a specific power level, they would have definitely seen it. And in terms of practical success, it essentially showed us that citizen science and using volunteers for computing was a viable and extremely powerful research tool that has since been replicated in a lot of different projects, especially in the field of biology. As a matter of fact, this directly led to the creation of a platform referred to as BOINC, Berkeley Open Infrastructure for Network Computing. It involves fields like medicine, biology, mathematics, climatology, and of course astrophysics. Here are just some of these projects that are still operational, and of course the projects that you can still join yourself. You can find the full list in the link in the description. But ever since...
Forgot about Rosetta at Home and other ones like that.
This happened, the project was obviously in a kind of a hibernation state.
You run BOINC on your PCs. It just sounds fun to say. BOINC, 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 BOINC.
Because there were no more signals coming in, and the data was essentially just sitting there, waiting for someone to analyze it. And more specifically, they had to find signals that would stand out. Signals that, for example, contain what's known as a Gaussian shape, or basically a rise and fall in power, which was the result of...
BOINC with friends. Yeah, I'm just setting up a BOINC network with my friends. We're sending, just some packets around, boinking each other. Any tips on projects that actually help land rules in IT? I know it's kind of broad, just curious. Generally steer people towards networking projects like building a firewall network with like pfSense and stuff like that. Documenting all of that with intrusion detection and prevention systems, whitelisting, blacklisting. Make a blog, document it.
The telescope was observing the night skies, and
Tim's wife is on the BOINC.
And pulses, or pulsing signals that resembled digital transmissions and not random noise. And they of course also focused on the famous hydrogen line, or the 21 centimeter wavelength, which is of course the frequency of hydrogen that a lot of scientists believe aliens might also use as a kind of a universal hello channel. And well, after years and years of analysis, out of 12 billion signals, eventually scientists narrowed this down to approximately 1 million, then to 1,000, and now finally to just 100. The top 100 most promising signals that seem to match a lot of different criteria. And so I guess the question is, what makes these signals so special? Well, most of them seem to be the right frequency, the right kind of a pulsation, and the overall power profile that we kind of expect from some kind of a signal super far away. But these are obviously just candidate signals, and right now the assumption is that these are just really exciting radio signals from some kind of a natural source. So nobody right now is expecting these to be actual civilizations calling us, but they're still going to be investigated again, and the additional observations are already ongoing.
Find out it's just some random dude in a black hole, flipping a light switch on and off, sending a whole bunch of random pulses.
The team is currently observing these signals using the China's FAST telescope, which today is the world's largest single-dish radio telescope, and is even more sensitive than Arecibo. As a matter of fact, it's at least 8 times better at collecting data. And so the researchers behind the study are spending approximately 15 minutes looking at each of these 100 spots to see if these signals reappear again. And if they do, and if they...
With the AI data center, you unfavorable the traditional one large unit or the smaller units, the residential homes that the homeowners get a kickback on. I'd be more partial to the residential home and they build infrastructure, because let's put it this way. If the data centers could then create pods that go to homeowners, data centers would build out better internet infrastructure across the country. Can you say 100 gig fiber, baby?
That's actually going to be kind of exciting, because it means that something in these regions is indeed producing signals we might expect from something that could be artificial.
100 gig fiber. Oh, I'm just gonna go watch, a little bit of adult content. Oh, I just downloaded, the entire, site.
Although right now it's still assumed to be some kind of a natural source. As a matter of fact, for example, the famous wow signal we've discussed previously has definitively been determined to be a natural source and not an alien signal. You can learn about this in one of the videos in the description. And so I guess here it's important to emphasize that right now this is not a smoking gun for, hey look, aliens are talking to us. Instead, this is evidence that our technique of data collection seems to work really well, and we might have discovered 100 different sources we never knew about before that could be caused by something exciting like some kind of a molecular cloud or a previously unknown pulsar. As a matter of fact, one of the researchers from the study, Eric Corpella, even admitted that he was a little bit disappointed that none of these signals really sort of jumped out saying that, hey look, this is alien life. Pretty much all of the signals right now just look like natural sources. But in this case,
I'm just thinking, how funny would it have been, if we actually, got one signal, and all it was just, a message randomly in space that went, "What's your name?" And then we just sent a message back years later, expecting some prominent thing. Say our name is Tim or something. 5, 6, 7 years later go by, and that alien race just says, "Well, fuck you, Tim!"
a null result is still a result. By not finding an alien signal, we have now established this new sensitivity level for the entire galaxy, while also establishing a kind of a baseline for what we kind of expect most natural signals to look like. And so because this search was so extremely sensitive and involved such a large portion of the night skies, scientists now have a pretty good idea what to expect from natural sources and what to, I guess, ignore next time. But this search for extraterrestrial intelligence and some kind of a technosignature is obviously not over.
Couldn't give them underwear?
Other initiatives like the break.
Do you ever wonder if aliens are just poor? That they can't afford clothes, and that's why they come to our planet? But then they actually see how effed up we are, and how we treat people that try to come in illegally to, you know, other countries, and they're like, F this planet. They don't even like people that are just slightly different colored skin. Imagine if they, like, find a whole other species.
Listen project that's using the Green Bank telescope to scan thousands of additional
Still doing folding at home or similar projects? Not really anymore.
emissions from a lot of locations that could be a
I shut down my computers nowadays when they're not in use.
Some of the most exciting signals, for example,
Electricity is just too much.
And the planet K2-18b, where scientists have claimed detection of some kind of life. And of course, the interstellar comets that made a lot of buzz in the last few years, including 3I Atlas. And so even though SETI at home is finished, Breakthrough Listen is still going very strong, with researchers suggesting that because the technology has improved so much, all of this will actually be a lot easier now, and starting a new project like SETI at home could allow researchers to process even larger chunks of data and analyze even more signals almost in real time, especially if we link them to data from telescopes like FAST and Meerkat in South Africa. And so by using better algorithms and even a bigger network, it may be possible to find something out there. But in this case, this essentially reminds us that search for extraterrestrial intelligence is most likely going to be a kind of a long-term endeavor. Even though a lot of scientists at first assumed that we might find something pretty quickly, and there might be a lot of different civilizations trying to communicate at all times, after decades and decades of failed search, we now realize that all of this is going to require a lot of patience and a lot of rigorous analysis. And for all we know, based on some other studies, we may actually never find anything. But even though no signal has been confirmed yet, because we are getting so much better at listening to this great silence, we'll definitely discuss some of the other research and some of the other studies in some of the future videos once those studies.
I'm not necessarily a guy that's like, you know, aliens have came here, they've crash landed in Rothwell, man. I'm open to ideas. I also think it's naive to believe that we are the only ones out there in this vast universe, but I also am open to the idea that what if we are the only ones out there in this universe? I don't know, that could be interesting. Kind of weird. How that happened. Why that happened. How that happened.
Come out. But hopefully in the next few years, someone comes up with even a bigger project, possibly turning the entire planet into some kind of...
I mean, I know how that happened. We kind of know how that happened, but you get my point.
How we collect data, and involving even more volunteers, beating previous records. Although I guess until that happens, at least for now, SETI at home is still the record holder. The biggest and the most successful citizen science project in human history. And the project that used to run on my own computer for a very long time, until my computer caught some kind of a virus and I basically had to wipe everything. So yeah, fun times. Anyway, we'll definitely come back and discuss this more some other day. Until then, thank you for watching, subscribe, come back.
What is the other life form that is silicon-based, from a silicon...
directly,
You can fuck computers.
Early access. You can also support this channel by buying the Wonderful Person t-shirt in the description below. Stay wonderful, I'll see you tomorrow, and as always, bye-bye.
Alright, another video from the same guy. Microplastics just upgraded from a health risk to a planetary threat. Oh, joy!
Wonderful person, this is Anton, and today we're once again going to discuss some of the new and somewhat disturbing discoveries in regards to microplastics. Something that's becoming almost as ubiquitous as the air we breathe. And as a side note, actually is part of the air we breathe. This is something we discussed in one of the previous videos, and the discovery there was just a little bit unnerving. You can find those previous discoveries in the description below. And while by now a lot of scientists agree that microplastics, or essentially these tiny particles and tiny fragments formed by larger plastics, have now become a kind of an environmental disaster. And to demonstrate, I actually wanted to start with this video. This is a really intriguing example that was discussed by Åke, Florian Hiemstra back in 2025, where scientists discovered that a lot of caddisfly specimens have now started to actually use microplastics as part of their natural cover. Or
wait, what?
To make their own clothes entirely out of microplastics in the water. But the more surprising discovery in this case was also the fact that they've actually been doing this since apparently at least 1971. In other words, even back then, they already started to adapt to this bizarre changing world. And
Oh, that's not good.
Is a more or less perfect representation of how ubiquitous microplastics have now become. We've essentially found them in some of the deepest parts of the ocean, on some of the highest peaks in the Himalayas, and it's pretty much everywhere around us and inside of us, which is of course what those previous videos were mostly about. But in a series of recent discoveries, including a major paper from May of 2026, scientists have now revealed a new and perhaps more subtle threat from these tiny particles. Turns out that they're not just bad for our health, they're also now apparently affecting the climate of the planet in ways we never actually expected. And so we now have some atmospheric discoveries to add to the list of why microplastics might not be such a good idea after all. And so let's discuss these new studies in a bit more detail, but I guess first let's briefly discuss what we've already known for many years. And specifically that microplastics are pretty bad for our health. They've now been discovered in most of the organs in our bodies, including brain tissue and of course lungs. But the recent study from Duke University along with the Fudan University has recently modeled how these particles also behave in the upper atmosphere. And in essence, they discovered that when microplastics are swept up by the wind, they start to actively interact with sunlight. And while interestingly, even though some of the light-colored particles can sometimes scatter the sunlight and provide a little bit of cooling, apparently the warming effect seems to be much stronger. In fact, the warming effect is at least 5 times stronger than the cooling effect.
Oh, really?
A previously unrecognized factor when
I guess it's acting like some kind of a lens?
it comes to climate change. But one of the more interesting discoveries was also in regards to color, or essentially...
Funny how we have environments crying that we need change, yet there's hundreds of videos of people in India and China dumping dump trucks of garbage and rivers into the ocean. I mean, yes, but here's the thing. We have no power over what happens in India. We have no power over what happens in China. I'm gonna just say that I don't like when people give these arguments of like, well, this is happening in India and this is happening in China, so what about? I can't control what happens over there. I can control what happens in my backyard. Every action that we can do, that we can directly have control over, collectively benefits us as a whole. But if we keep making excuses, oh, well, there's this bigger issue that happens to be happening way over there, so why should I not even bother just, putting this one piece of, paper in a recycling bin, just as one small example, then where do we even fix the world? You lead the world by example. You don't follow just because someone else is doing the right thing. You do the right thing to do the right thing, and then other people should follow and do the right thing themselves as well. So, because someone else shits in the streets, I should too. Not what I'm saying. You're searching up if Telegram is encrypted and safe. I appreciate your info. Appreciate it. What's up, Papa Rover? Still recycling the 3 bins like what the Germans do. I don't like the fact that where I live we have the single bin. Although I did buy 3 bins, though I don't separate them. Just because I meticulously try to use recycling. So I end up regularly filling at least one 50-gallon recycling bin every week. And there have been weeks I fill up 3 of them. So, yeah. I'm just, yeah.
Discovering how color seems to have a major effect. And this is, of course, something that kind of makes...
I'm not even in a recycling center anymore. And the other thing that, irks me too, I don't like people that just throw trash away. So there's one thing that I really have immense respect for the Japanese for, and there's something that, there's a few things I have respect for them for. I have a few things I respect from many different cultures. You can respect all different cultures, but in this specific thing, it is, the Japanese people don't litter. They will take their trash home with them to throw it out. And I will do that. I would rather take my trash with me and throw it in my own car and make my own car a mess than I would just throw it on the road. It is appalling the amount of rubbish that you will find in American streets. It absolutely is. You know, Don't Mess with Texas was originally an anti-litter campaign. Really?
Darker colors usually become much warmer. If you've ever worn a black t-shirt on a sunny day, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the same applies to plastics. Here the study discovered that colored microplastics, and especially black, blue, red, and yellow, absorb a lot more sunlight compared to anything that's uncolored or white, with some of the dark color particles absorbing up to 75 times more sunlight than pristine clear plastic. And in this case, time is not on our side, because with time, a lot of plastics tend to age or become more yellow because of the UV light exposure, which actually makes them absorb even more heat, even though they might have had different color at first. And on a global scale, a lot of these tiny particles seem to trap nearly 1/5 as much heat as something like black carbon or soot, which is currently one of the most potent contributors.
Right, because it's not our culture that's been part of our culture in the start, we'd be fine, but we all know how European people flung poo in the streets, so... Yeah... Yeah... I'm Middle Eastern. Apparently, when I was in Morocco, there was apparently some lore from... So, a lot of people don't know this. You know when the Marine Corps hymn From the Halls of Montezuma to the Shores of Tripoli? Do you know what that's in reference to? The Barbary Pirates. Where's Tripoli? Anyway, the point being, in Morocco, they were telling me about, apparently it was a known thing that Europeans had bad hygiene even to Moroccans back then. It was one of the things I learned about when I was touring the forts. Yeah, Tripoli was in Libya. So, yeah, it was all that way, and the Barbary pirates were around in Morocco and all that, and... Yep. They learned the lesson, don't touch our boats!
Atmospheric warming. But in some areas, like the famous North Pacific garbage patch, the warming from these floating plastics is even stronger than the warming from local soot. In other words, in certain locations, it seems to be the predominant driver of heat and seems to affect the temperature way more than predicted. But that's just one of the effects they seem to have. Apart from this, a separate study has also found that microplastics are changing how the clouds form as well.
Oh no!
That microplastics now act as a nuclei, or basically these tiny seeds that ice crystals usually grow around, which then triggers ice formation even at temperatures 5 to 10 degrees warmer than usual. And while normally pure water can actually remain supercooled down to minus 38 degrees Celsius, the presence of these seeds usually causes the water to freeze and to condense into clouds or even form rain. And so the presence of microplastics in the atmosphere tends to trigger freezing much sooner. And this means that microplastics seem to also be able to alter precipitation patterns, possibly increasing rain or snow in places where it normally doesn't happen. And so by making it easier for ice to form, microplastics seem to also increase cloud cover in locations where they might have never existed. Now that could be of course good news because clouds tend to reflect light and things. But at the same time, this also creates a bit of a misbalance when it comes to water cycle. And so here they seem to shift the ratio between liquid water and ice and seem to shift the planetary energy balance. Now obviously exactly what they're doing is still unknown because these are new discoveries, but these studies definitively showed that they do seem to have an effect. Although unlike in the previous study that showed that aging plastics tend to heat up the planet, here the discovery was that aging plastics seem to be not as good at nucleation or formation of clouds compared to new plastics. And so yeah, in terms of the actual effects, we have no idea what this means yet. Moreover, we don't even know the exact concentrations of these particles at higher altitudes, and so the true impact on the global climate change is currently unknown. But there's also other discoveries from the interaction of microplastics with ice, and specifically when these tiny particles settle on glaciers, such as those in Himalayas, they seem to cause a phenomenon referred to as albedo reduction. Essentially, dark plastic particles make the white snow less reflective, causing the ice to absorb more heat and melt faster. And so they may also have an effect on deglaciation across the planet, with additional studies also discovering that even their motion across the planet seems to be much more hectic and much more unpredictable than we initially thought. And specifically, a 2025 study discovered that typhoons and hurricanes seem to act like a giant vacuum cleaner for the entire ocean, with these very powerful storms churning up microplastics from the oceans and then ejecting them into the air, which can then be dumped on land as these hurricanes make landfall. And so during a single typhoon in China, researchers measured a peak deposition of 12,000 plastic particles per square meter per day, which basically creates a kind
Interesting. Huh. Never thought about that.
of a dangerous feedback loop. The changing climates increase the number of storms, the storms become more intense, they start to recycle these microplastics into the atmosphere and on ice, and microplastics make the weather more unpredictable, which is of course not something anyone expected a few years back. Back then, we mostly discussed health effects. So basically back then, we've only discovered that microplastics can cause inflammation and tissue scarring, with scientists even naming a new condition known as plasticosis, something that
Of course, most of the world's not going to care about this because this directly impacts the oil companies because petroleum produces a lot of the plastics that we make. So most people will probably never become aware of this and how pervasive the issues are with microplastics.
now actually extremely common in seabirds, as many seabirds now contain a lot of injuries inside their bodies from the damage of microplastics. Although, as I mentioned in that previous video, it's now also been discovered in several brains of diseased patients that did die from something inside the brain, but it's not entirely clear if it was the plastics or something they caused as a result. In other words, this whole microplastic situation is only getting a little bit more dangerous. But they've definitely now been linked to increase in heart attacks and stroke, with several patients that have gone through stroke or heart attack apparently containing clogged arteries that were filled with microplastics. But apart from these individuals, the risk is now slowly becoming planetary. And so even though we used to think of plastic as some kind of a dead waste, it seems to have now become a chemically active part of Earth's geophysics. But obviously, it's not all doom and gloom, mostly because there's also been additional discoveries and additional research on trying to figure out how we can maybe get rid of these microplastics once and for all. Now, this research is also still in its infancy, but for example, last year, scientists have discovered an unusual genetic marker inside certain bacteria referred to as M5 motif.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
Certain marine bacteria that have now started to eat plastic.
Yep.
In other words, certain bacteria started to now adapt and started to use plastic as a food source. And so by studying these enzymes and trying to engineer them in order to break down plastics, we might find a way to get rid of them before it's too late. And though obviously some countries have also started banning plastics, at the moment that's also in its infancy, and with only some countries participating, none of this is helping yet. mostly because microplastics tend to travel across international borders, wind and sea. And so unless there's some kind of a global treaty...
And not only that, the countries that actually ban it are usually the countries that are the least impacting. It's primarily the US, China, India, that are behind a lot of the issue.
None of this is going to...
Russia, too.
But ultimately, these new discoveries that microplastics are also affecting the climate tells us that this is becoming a multifactorial problem. It's a problem for human health, it's a problem for the planet, and it's now affecting a lot of different species. And it's also a serious reminder that things we produce and things we use every day eventually change form and continue to influence the world in ways we're only beginning to understand. But because this is such a complex topic, and because there's a lot of research in regards to this, we're going to come back and discuss this in the next few weeks, mostly focusing on additional health studies and additional discoveries. Thank you for watching, subscribe, come back tomorrow to learn something else, support this channel on Patreon where you can find additional videos without any ads and can DM me directly, or by joining the channel membership that grants you early access. You can also support this channel by buying the one.
Okay, that's a little bit upsetting. Alright, well. Next up, before we call it a night, Qualcomm promises $300 Windows laptops with new Snapdragon C. They start at $1,000 and $700 and $600 budget machines. Now Qualcomm says the price of its ARM-based Windows laptops will hit $300 this year. Season compute. A $300 laptop, I think, would be great, and I think would actually be a nice thing to potentially put the MacBook Neo in its place as the affordable laptop. I'll be curious to see the capabilities of the Qualcomm CPU, but the bigger question is the capability of the Windows operating system on ARM. That's a big question. But I will say this, the Acer Aspire Go with up to 8 gigabytes of RAM, that's not a lot for Windows. To be fair, the Mac was offering 8 gigabytes of RAM, but Mac also does a little bit better with memory compression. So, yeah. My brother, what do you think about the CCSP certification? I think it's fine. I'm looking at going for my CCSP after I finish my bachelor's. I get a voucher for it, apparently, after I graduate WGU. It's a nice companion to the CISSP. There's about a 70% overlap, and the test is a lot smaller. Plastics are a recent invention. There was a long timeline when we didn't have plastics. Yep. It's just amazing how we've only had it for decades, and yet it's fucked up the world so much. Anyway, it is getting a little bit late. I do have day 2 of Hackers Teaching Hackers conference tomorrow. It's all talks and everything, so I gotta get ready for going to bed, and then maybe I'll get back on stream tomorrow. We'll see how I feel. Maybe I'll actually crack open this iPad tomorrow and set it up. I'm waiting for my screen protector and a case. I don't know, I just don't like devices without being a case and a screen protector, so we'll see how that is. I'll see how this iPad Air is. I'm not really a tablet-y person, but who knows? Might be something useful and worthwhile for some of the stuff that I need, at least for these presentations, and maybe while I'm on a plane or something. Still upset as hell that I couldn't get a Google Pixel Android tablet and then put graphene on it, because I can't find them anywhere anymore. I think Google is discontinuing them. But anyway, thank you all for joining me. Make sure, if you haven't already, to follow me on all of my socials. The links are in the bio. And, of course, join the Discord, join the Matrix server, and follow me on YouTube, follow me on Twitch, Kick, Twitch, the Discord, the Matrix, the Mastodon, the Blue Sky, the Instagram, the Pixel Fed. I am everywhere. Love you all. Stay safe. Happy hacking. And if you're at ISSA in the Midwest for the InfoSec Summit, I will be speaking next week. So I may see you all there next week. But yeah, stick around for the raid if you're on Twitch. Otherwise, see you Sunday for gaming on Linux night if I don't pop in for another surprise stream. Happy hacking.